We all know the face of this man. Whether we're fans of the NFL, sports in general, or influenced by any kind of social media, I think it's pretty safe to say we've all heard of the name Odell Beckham Jr. before. He's one of the game's top wide receivers and is well known for his incredible skill set, highlight plays, and supreme talent. And of course,
I don't think he stepped out either. That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen.
But since coming into the league and taking the NFL by storm in his first few years with the New York Giants, many have since questioned if he can truly live up to the potential and become the best wideout in football many deemed him to become since entering the league.
Be worried about his place in the NFL at this point?
I think he should. I think he should from a reputation standpoint.
Last 3 seasons, he hasn't even gotten over 1,100 yards receiving. Okay, I know 1 year is a blip, but we're talking 3 years.
Odell hasn't produced a 1,300 plus yard receiving season since his third year in the league, and he's played another 3 seasons since, -1 taken away due to injury. But his last 2 seasons in the NFL have been not up to standard, as said by many. By no means have his previous couple of seasons been bad, but when measuring him against the top wide receivers in the league in the first couple of seasons, they are a little disappointing to say the least. Even EA Sports has Odell ranked as the 10th best wide receiver in the upcoming Madden 21 game, trailing receivers such as Davante Adams, Amari Cooper, and Stephon Diggs. And just looking back to a couple of years ago, Odell was ranked as the 3rd best wide receiver at 95 overall on the opening release of Madden 19, flaming guys like Davante Adams, Amari Cooper, and Stephon Diggs, who are currently ranked better than him. With this in the open, obviously, this begs the question: what exactly is going on with Odell Beckham Jr.? He'll be looking to bounce back from his 2 worst seasons in 2018 and 2019, where in 2018 he played only 12 games, nabbed 77 catches out of 124 targets for a catch rate of about 62%, racking up 1,052 receiving yards and 6 receiving touchdowns. That year was followed by arguably his worst ever, where he played all 16 games that season, but only picked up 74 catches off of 133 targets for a career-low 55.6% catch rate on only 1,035 receiving yards and only 4 touchdowns, something Odell certainly isn't used to. Freddie Kitchens out and a new coaching staff in, things are looking good for Odell and the Cleveland Browns. Coming into the season, Odell will be fully healthy after battling nagging injuries the entire previous season, including a sports hernia, which could explain his decrease in production. Heading into this season, Odell himself is saying he's extremely confident and ready to get a fresh start. Quote, "Right now, what I'm trying to do is hit the reset button. Being able to just get everything fixed. I would honestly say this is probably going to be one of my best seasons. Bigger, stronger, faster. This is my time." Clearly, Odell Beckham is in the state of mind that this is going to be his year. Compared to last season, he even admits that he wasn't healthy pretty much the entire year. Quote, "Last year I was training in June and July, and I was kind of just feeling stuff around the groin area, abs, and stuff like that. Before the season, I kind of had the hernia thing going on. Sports hernia is what they call it. End up at the end of the season, torn abductor, torn rectus abdominis on the right, so pretty much I was just effed up the whole year. I really didn't try and say something about it." Seeing the numbers Odell put up last year in that kind of state is pretty scary when you think about it. Despite the down year and nagging injuries throughout the season, Odell still ranked 28th in receptions and 26th in receiving yards. Coming into this year on 100% healthy, we can expect to see Odell put up similar, if not better, numbers than his first 3 years in the league, which saw him rack up 1,300 plus receiving yards, 90 plus receptions, and double-digit touchdowns in each of those 3 seasons. If Odell being healthy wasn't enough, the Browns went ahead and got a much-needed coaching change. By bringing in a new coach, the Browns, along with Odell, will get to experiment with the fresh new offense where Kevin Stefanski, the new coach of the Browns, is looking forward to putting OBJ in a better offensive situation compared to the previous year. Stefanski knows what Odell is capable of and goes on by saying, quote, "It's very obvious to everybody, the skill set of Odell. He's a player that when he touches the rock, he can go the distance, and there's not many like that in the NFL. I'm really excited to put him in a scheme where I hope we're getting the most out of him and putting him in a position to make big plays." Clearly, the focus seems to be shifted as Odell is going to be given the opportunity, as he should, having the potential as being one of the best, if not the best receivers this coming season. Adding Kevin Stefanski onto the coaching staff can do no harm. Seeing the kind of questionable and flat-out strange play calling that was ran by the Browns last year, you can only imagine that it can't get any worse, and that stands the same for Odell. Lastly, if you're going to be excited for Odell's rise as the best wide receiver next season, you've got to give credit to Baker Mayfield for bringing him there. You can largely credit, or in this case discredit, Baker for Odell's worst professional season as a pro last year, but you can't blame him too much. It was only the guy's second year, and he was in a shaky offense. Now, with a different head coach that seems dedicated to putting the whole offense together, the former Heisman Trophy winner should be able to strive. The Browns' new manager, Andrew Berry, is ecstatic for the upcoming season, especially Baker Mayfield, as he goes on to say, quote, "I can assure you there's nobody who's more focused and determined to put last year behind him and take a step forward than Baker. We're excited about the environment that we created around that position and around that room in general, and we really do expect him to have a fantastic year. I know Kevin Stefanski and the staff have done a really nice job with the virtual offseason so far, implementing the new system, and we think that he'll be able to thrive in it this season. In an improved system and dedicated offseason, I'm sure Baker will continue to show and evolve those glimpses of greatness he showed over the past 2 years that made him the runner-up for Rookie of the Year his rookie season. With Baker's likely improvement, it's almost certain to say that this will lead to Odell's improvement as well. Because a receiver is only as good as his quarterback, and considering what Odell has accomplished in his 6 seasons in the NFL, being thrown the ball from an aging Eli Manning and a shaky second-year Baker Mayfield, imagine what Odell will be able to do when Baker starts shining and the offense is running like a well-oiled machine. If these 3 factors weren't convincing enough, let me remind you that the throne for being the NFL's best wide receiver is practically for the taking. The current best wideout in the NFL in Julio Jones, as proclaimed by many of his peers, is already north of 30 and isn't aging backwards. The Falcons are also looking forward to a potential Todd Gurley reinstatement after a down year last year with his former team. Julio Jones is bound to have a down year, leaving the top spot wide open. Another one of the top wide receivers in DeAndre Hopkins is in a similar situation as Odell was last year. Being in a new environment with a young second-year quarterback, it also would not surprise me if he took a slight step back. Lastly, Odell will have to fight for that top spot over Michael Thomas, who will likely give him a good run for his money. Last year, Thomas was the league leader in receiving yards and receptions, something he'll look to do again. However, Drew Brees is hitting 42, meaning he'll likely regress even more, and the addition of Emmanuel Sanders will likely decrease the target share, so don't be surprised if he doesn't match his numbers from last year. With all this in mind, it looks like the perfect opportunity for Odell to place himself as the best receiver in the league this upcoming season. If he manages to stay healthy, the offense gets a nice and promising upgrade, and Baker evolves into a much better version of himself from last year and continues to grow. The outlook for Odell to become the league's top receiver seems very promising. Considering he's only 27 years young, if he manages to capture the throne this year, there's no telling how long he'll be sitting on it, considering he's in the prime of his career.